programming in the History, Social Sciences, Philosophy Department's Sound Collection Lab is made possible in part by funding contributed for the Porter Legacy Initiative. We are in the Sound Collection Lab today with Dr. Jennifer Shure here on my right. She is assistant professor in the School of Education. And Lane Metcalf here on my left, graduating senior in history with social studies teacher licensure. Lane is the recipient of the Provost Academic Excellence Award and the first place winner of the HSSP Land Acknowledgement Student Paper Competition. In addition to those accolades, Lane applied for, received, and completed a SURF grant with Dr. Shure, which is what we are here to talk about today. So this is all new to me, so I'd like to begin by asking, what is a SURF grant, and how does one go about applying for one?
So a SURF grant, it stands for Student Undergraduate Research Fellowship, and I was introduced to this by Taylor Martinez, and Dr. Shure was too. We were in the middle of getting an IRB application submitted and approved, and she sprung this idea on us like, hey, you need to apply for a SURF grant. You need to get paid for doing this research or have all your equipment paid for, everything like that. And for me, it wasn't about the money. It was just being a part of the fellowship, academic addition to like a resume if I wanted to go to grad school or something like that. Mm-hmm. So we looked into it. We got application filled out. I did bring the paper I actually had to write to get into it, get accepted.
Okay. So was the application itself very long? Was it complicated?
For the first time doing it, it took a little bit, but if I was to do it again, say I was a junior this year and I was going to be a senior next year and wanted to do another research project, I would say it would be a lot smoother just knowing how to go about it, what needs to be done with it, all of that. But I think we honestly did a pretty good job with it, given that we had to do it in 4 hours.
Right. I'll say that it was not something that we spent as much time on as most people would if they knew for a while they were going to be applying for the SURF grant. We had already planned our methodology, so it wasn't as hard to plan the research, but we had to figure out how to fill in for the application. And then part of that is the financial part, because we went into the research just not spending any money and thinking that we had to do all of this on a shoestring budget. But that was part of it, is just trying to think through what are some things we need. Part of the SURF grant, you have to apply to travel somewhere and present your findings. And so that takes a little time to find a conference that is appropriate for your specific type of research, and when is it going to be, and kind of look into the logistics of that. And I think it's $750 can go toward that travel for that conference, which sounds like a lot, but it's not always a lot when you look at how much conferences can be.
Right. And so in your case, you guys were already working on a project and realized, there was expenses involved, and then Taylor Martinez and the Institutional Effectiveness Office, brought that up to you all. So it's ideal for assisting in doing the research if you need monies to cover expenses with that. And then monies to travel to present at a conference. Okay.
And it also looks really good as far as if somebody wants to go to grad school, because this gives them, not just looks good, but it gives them a chance to conduct research to the highest ethical standards, because you go through the IRB. And I'll brag on Lane a little bit, but our paper we just found out this weekend we didn't find out, it actually was published this weekend. So it's kind of a pathway to publication.
All right. And where was it published?
The ARATE journal, I believe that stands for Arkansas Action Teacher Education.
Yes. Yeah. So ours was kind of niche. It was specific to Western Arkansas education. And so we published in a journal that deals with education in Arkansas.
Okay. All right. Very good. So there's a SURF grant webpage, so everyone can consult that for details and application process and all that.
Yeah, and Taylor Martinez was a life send, and then obviously I would be more than happy now that I've done it once. I hope to do it again, and I think that they award a lot of these through the state, and I think 60% of them go to STEM and 40% of them go to non-STEM.
Okay.
And so that kind of delineates it a little bit for the humanities, so that there is funding for that.
Right.
I do know that we were the only non-STEM one that got a surf grant here at UAFS.
Here at UAFS, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was 9 total. 8 were STEM, and we were the only
Right.
non-STEM one.
Right. And that's what I'd really like to develop, more non-STEM applications and hopefully recipients of that.
So not to get too, like, you can cut that part out, political or controversial, but one thing that I think, like, I looked into this today as I was on my way home. When did this start? What was the purpose? And it started in '92 when Bill Clinton was the governor here. And part of it was to democratize research, because there's students who have ideas and they want to conduct research, but without somebody funding part of that, if they're working full time, some of my students work more than one job and they're in classes and in education, they're in, field experience, getting those hours in. So this is a way that part of that can be funded, which kind of helps level the playing field and gives more students a chance to conduct research, which gives them that leg up if they want to move on and go to grad school. Or even there's certain jobs that just having gone through that process, that this is going to be very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a little bit about the process and about how you all came around to doing it. So what did you actually do? What was the application for? What was the research that you planned to conduct, and what did you do?
So our research was titled Teacher Perspectives on Effective Interventions and Therapies for Students with Diverse Support Needs. I know it's kind of a mouthful, but so this was education-based research. It was phenomenology. That's a branch off of sociology, I do believe. So it was a social science. It's something that the HSSP could do too if there was more students in sociology or psychology wanting to do this type of research. But given that I wanted to focus it on education, I went with Dr. Shure, School of Ed. They backed it 100%. And our goal of the research was to just kind of hear teacher perspectives on what strategies may work and not work with certain students in the classroom, just pulling off that experience of whether it was 1 year in education to up to 40. I think we had some fill out a survey that had that much experience.
Okay.
And so it provides some validity to current educational practice. That's just being as general as possible as it can be.
Yeah. Okay, so what kind of methodology did you have? You did a survey. You had the students. Was it the students, the teachers? Who was filling it out?
It was just the teachers. We originally wanted to do a case study with a group of students, but there was a lot of hurdles to go through with the IRB and getting approval for that. Right. So we were able to accomplish really the same goal with just using surveys that we sent out to teachers and categorizing the data that way.
Okay. All right. And so how, did you use local teachers? How did you reach out to them? How did they get the survey?
We went through administration. We went through the proper channels there to be able to send it out to teachers in the River Valley. So it was pretty localized. We went as far as Greenwood up to Mountainburg in that area.
And we started with assistant superintendents. There's usually somebody in a district that can give approval. And once they give approval, then we can forward that on to principals to pass on to teachers, which kind of helps the validity, so we know it was teachers who were completing the survey.
All right.
And current teachers too.
Lane, you want to tell a little bit about the types, because it was qualitative, it was mixed method. Do you want to?
Yep. So we had qualitative and quantitative analysis done. This is where we utilized the expertise of Dr. Owaki in the statistics department in the math science building. There we were able to kind of figure out how valid some of the statements were, how strong some of the statements were, and whether the teachers agreed with a certain statement that we made. So one, for example, was I think the classroom teacher is effective. Like they could either rate themselves not effective or up to highly effective. It was like a 1 through 5 scale. And based on that, I think we had over 80% say they were effective in that.
If they're supplementing the therapy in their classroom.
Yes, that's what it was. So we would have questions like that built into the survey where they whether agree or disagree,
right,
and would provide some validity to our hypothesis that we formulated.
Was there some specific finding that really stood out? Was there some specific method that was being used that rose to the top?
Just a lot of individualized instruction between the teacher and the students. That was what that stood out to me a lot.
Yeah.
And to coincide with that, there was a lot of scheduling conflicts to where maybe a student misses out on tier 1 instruction because they're having to be pulled out for therapy in that class period. So when we found out one result, so to speak, we were able to find out a couple more of why that might be hindered or why that might be supported. So it's really complex. It's kind of like going to a rabbit hole with some of this stuff.
Right. Well, that's fantastic. And the grant allowed you the time, the monetary support to run down that rabbit hole and to sink into it a lot deeper, right?
Yeah.
To spend that time in it.
I think we would have been successful either way, but also it gave us some validity when we're contacting assistant superintendents to say, hey, we have a grant. We're going to be presenting at this national conference, what our findings are. And there were 4 findings, so it kind of went into a little bit more depth than Lane said, but it's nuanced.
Yeah.
But I think that the fact that we could say we're a recipient, and it's a small grant, it's just a few $1,000s for this semester. I think $1,200 can go to the student to kind of buy their time for what they're doing, and the rest will go toward expenses. But it did make a difference, and it also did give some validity, I think.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? That's incredibly significant. It's being compensated for the time you're spending on it. I mean, students, faculty were all so accustomed to just like doing a ton of work and not seeing any direct compensation for it, right?
Yeah.
So to get a grant, I mean, and get that recognition that the work you're doing is important and valid and legitimate, and get the monetary support for it, that's terrific. That's fantastic. So this might, be a silly question, but in terms of your experience with it, would you recommend it to other students?
Absolutely.
Like what, in addition to the monetary support, the experience, what other benefits did you see, from a student perspective, from a teacher perspective?
Just networking in general, being introduced to new connections in the area was big for me. Because I'm wanting to work up in this area, so being familiar with administrators, teachers in this area, that goes a long way in professionals in certain fields like sociology, psychology. Being familiar, just diving into different researches that's been done to support our research.
Right.
Having that assistance from Dr. Shure, Dr. Owaki, Taylor Martinez, everyone in the School of Ed. I'm probably leaving a few out that helped us on this project, but just it's the networking in general. And you're able to just give the teachers a voice in a way. I don't think there's been a research done somewhat like this in the area. I could be wrong, but.
And so, Lane, are you planning to go to graduate school? Or are you going to look for a teaching position?
I am actually going to hear something back from Lavaca tomorrow on an interview that I had on Monday. So I'm hoping that I get that job.
All right.
And grad school is definitely a option in a couple of years. But right now I just want to get a job, been in college, settle down a little bit, and then definitely go off to grad school. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, good luck on the job prospect there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Dr. Shure, from the faculty perspective, how do you see the benefits of spending the time to apply for a SURF grant, to figure it out, to apply for it, and so on?
Yeah, so I would say for me it was definitely something I would recommend, because if you want to increase your scholarship, this is just a great way to do it, because I learned a lot about research. I've been published twice before this. I'm fairly new to the profession, and so this was and I've never presented at a national conference, so I had a lot of firsts too in this, and so the fact that you're helping someone along the way kind of gives you a little bit of accountability, and it also, I think it's just a great way to put a fire under you a little bit so that you do that scholarly research. I think, if somebody is looking to increase their scholarly research, the other thing is in the teaching and learning, I feel like, I don't know how to say this, but I feel like just the mentoring and supporting one student. Now, Lane was super easy, so I know at some point, it may be totally different to have a different student. Although I did a very similar project with 2 other students, but we just didn't do the surf grant. But we did all of the same steps and are waiting to hear back on publication. But I do think that level of depth that you can go into with that student is very rewarding. And so I really appreciated and enjoyed that.
All right. Well, congratulations to you both on the project. It sounds like a wonderful success in terms of the whole process and the publication. And Lane, you said you were going to be presenting that in Tennessee?
Yes, national conference in Tennessee. I believe it's called the Making Schools Work Conference, something like that. Yeah.
And that is a direct component of the SURF grant that your research will be presented at, is it national, the state conference?
I had to look into that because the timeline of it is a little tricky because you have until a certain date to spend the money. And then a lot of the conferences that we were finding were after that date. Right. They were so flexible. It's through the Department of Ed, and they worked, I think it's Department of Ed.
Yeah.
But they were very willing to work with us and kind of make it work in that way. But it does not have to be a national conference. It can be a state conference. And I don't know, maybe the research symposium would be something that would work. I think they probably want you to go outside because they want it to go beyond our university, because it's essentially the goal is it's a state-funded thing to increase scholarship amongst undergrad students. And so part of that is that sharing of the information.
Sure. And there's plenty of associations like that. And in our department, there's the Southwestern Social Science Association meeting. It meets every April, and they've got a whole range of student presentations.
April would be spot on, perfect time.
Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, and there's the Arkansas Anthropology, Sociology, Criminology State Conference as well. So, and there's the Arkansas Historical Association. So there's plenty of opportunities that way. So, all right. Well, thank you both for visiting with me today. I appreciate it. And again, good luck with all your endeavors, Lane.
Thank you.
We'll see Lane's name throughout the years, I'm sure.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
This video is a production of the Sound Collection Lab, located in the History, Social Sciences, Philosophy Department, originating from the University of Arkansas at Fort Smith.